Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into the really extraordinary world of a thinker who definitely broke the mold. Imagine this. A philosopher, okay, but also a brilliant scientist, someone who played a surprising role in international politics, and get this, won a Nobel Prize in literature, but for his philosophical writing.
Yeah, that's right. Not a novel or poetry, but for his actual philosophy. Pretty unique.
Absolutely. So get ready for a genuinely mind-bending exploration. Our mission here is to really distill the core ideas from the material you've shared about Henri Bergson, and especially his big work, Creative Evolution. We want to give you a kind of shortcut to understanding this super influential, though maybe sometimes overlooked, intellectual giant. The aim is really to shed light on Bergson's unique way of looking at life, evolution, time itself, showing how his ideas really challenge the thinking of his time and, still resonate today.
They really do.
Offering you perhaps some new ways to see the world and your own place in it. So let's unpack this. Who was Henri Bergson, really? More than just a name in a philosophy book, clearly.
Oh, absolutely. He was born in 1859, which is, well, quite a coincidence, actually.
Oh, why is that?
It's the exact same year Darwin published On the Origin of Species, which is pretty significant, given Bergson's later work on evolution.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so he was French, Jewish background, educated at the top tier, Paris École Normale Supérieure. And like you said, not just philosophy. He was skilled in math, science. He even famously had this debate with Albert Einstein.
Right, I've heard about that.
And what really stands out, I think, is his writing style. It wasn't dry philosophy. It was elegant, almost like literature-wise.
So very readable.
Exactly. Flowed beautifully. And that clarity, that style is a huge part of why he became so popular, why people connected with his ideas. And it's why he got that 1927 Nobel Prize in Literature. It's incredibly rare for a philosopher. It really highlights his writing skill. Apparently, his personality was quite similar, calm, stable, persistent.
So this quiet intellectual actually had a massive impact then.
Huge. There was this period they called Bergson fever across Europe, America. His lectures in Paris, packed. Thousands showed up for his talks in New York.
Really? Just for philosophy lectures?
Yep. And his influence went beyond academia. During World War I, he acted as a French envoy. He actually played a key role in persuading the U.S. President Woodrow Wilson to join the war effort.
No way. That's incredible.
It is. And later, in WWII, he showed real moral courage, refused special treatment from the Vichy government, got involved in anti-fascist movements. So historically, he's a major figure in early 20th century French thought, coming before people like Sartre and Foucault. And his ideas even traveled far, deeply influencing thinkers in China. Figures like Liang Shuming saw connections to traditional Chinese thought.
Fascinating. But you mentioned his influence wane.
It did, quite dramatically after his death, post-WWII. He was kind of overshadowed by, the big movements that came next. Marxism, phenomenology, Sartre's existentialism, structuralism.
So France sort of moved on.
It seemed that way for a while. But remarkably, his work had this major comeback later in the 20th century.
Oh, how did that happen?
Largely thanks to another key French philosopher, Gilles Deleuze.
Yeah.
Deleuze kept going back to Bergson, using his ideas as a primary source, and that really helped bring him back into the conversation.
Okay, right. So let's get into the really juicy stuff. You mentioned evolution. If Darwin is the name everyone knows, Bergson offers something quite different, right? Almost an inversion, especially in creative evolution.
Exactly. A radical reversal, you could say.
Yeah.
So let's quickly recap Darwin, or at least the view Bergson was reacting to. Darwin's survival of the fittest. It generally sees species as, largely passive.
Passive. So?
They adapt to an external environment, which is seen as relatively unchanging. If they adapt well, they survive. If not, they get eliminated. Evolution is basically adaptation.
Okay, makes sense. So,
Bergson turns this on its head. He says evolution is driven by an active, spontaneous impulse, a kind of will that comes from within the species. He called it the élan vital.
The life impulse.
Precisely. This impulse isn't just adapting, it actively confronts obstacles, it breaks through them, it transcends them. Survival and evolution, for Bergson, come from this breaking through, this active overcoming of barriers. And in doing so, it creates new species. It's creation, not just adaptation.
Okay, that's a big shift. Can you make that a bit more concrete?
Yeah, the source uses a great analogy. Imagine a university student starting a tough new job, a difficult environment.
Okay.
From a Darwinian viewpoint, the student might passively adapt, change themselves to fit the job, fit the culture, to survive there. They become a new person suited to the environment. That's adaptation.
Right.
Now, the Bergsonian view, The student also changes, yes, but not by passively fitting in. Instead, they actively break through the constraints of that workplace. They don't just adapt to it, they might even change it or find a new way within it.
Ah, so they impose themselves on the environment in a way.
Or they create something new out of that confrontation. Their evolution isn't just adaptation, it's a breakthrough, an active creation. They add something new. It's about that active will to overcome and create, not just passively adjust.
Got it. So this élan vital, this life impulse, it sounds really central. What are its core features then?
Right, that's the key. Bergson highlights three main characteristics. First, it's an energy impulse.
Energy, like physics.
Sort of, he saw it as an explosion, a release of accumulated energy. Drawing on the science of his time, he thought the initial energy on Earth, maybe from the sun, built up and then just burst out, creating the first life forms. He actually wrote, all elements of life exist in the slow accumulation and sudden release of energy. So this impulse is the fundamental driver, this energetic burst.
Okay, an energy burst. What else?
Second, it's defined by the continuous overcoming of obstacles. This impulse is always encountering resistance, external barriers, and it has to overcome them. Without obstacles, Bergson thought, there's no impulse, no force. It needs that resistance.
Like pushing against something?
Exactly. And each time it overcomes an obstacle, breaks through, a new life is created. It's like breaking out of the cocoon, as the source puts it. And this isn't a one-time thing. It's continuous, unending. It's what propels life from simple to complex, inorganic to organic, plants, animals, humans, all driven by this single, persistent impulse pushing against barriers.
Interesting. And the third characteristic?
The third is its affinity with Schopenhauer's philosophy of will.
Ah, Schopenhauer. So there's a connection there.
There is. Both Bergson and Schopenhauer see this kind of hierarchy of life, lower to higher, driven by some internal force. For Bergson, it's the life force, the élan vital. For Schopenhauer, it's the will, constantly striving to actualize itself.
Okay, so they both see an internal driver creating a hierarchy.
Yes, but that similarity actually leads us to the crucial difference. It sets up Bergson's really unique take on the path of evolution.
Right. If it's similar to Schopenhauer, where does Bergson diverge? This seems key to understanding his unique contribution.
It's a fundamental split. Schopenhauer saw evolution as, well, basically a single linear path, like a ladder. Each new, higher life form essentially overcomes and negates the previous one.
Negates.
Yeah, like animals negate plants, humans negate animals.
Right.
Sort of a no destruction, no construction idea. One replaces the other on this single upward track. Kind of Hegelian in a way.
Okay, well, linear replacement.
Bergson says, no, that's not how it works. Evolution isn't about negation. It's about diversification. It's about differentiation.
Differentiation, meaning?
Meaning when that life impulse, that élan vital, hits an obstacle, it doesn't just push through in one direction. It explodes into fragments, it splits, and differentiates. He uses these great analogies.
Yeah.
Imagine a rocket exploding midair fragments fly off in all directions. Some continue forward, maybe, but others branch off.
Or like water hitting a rock.
Exactly. Or like wind hitting a wall. Part gets blocked, stops. But another part might swirl around, go over, change direction, but it continues. That single current has differentiated into multiple streams. That's Bergson's picture.
So how does that play out with actual life forms?
Well, the first major differentiation he talks about is the split between plants and animals. The life impulse hits some primordial obstacle, and it splits. One branch becomes plants. They tend towards conserving energy, becoming more static. Maybe the impulse sort of settles there. The other branch continues as animals consuming energy, remaining active. The impulse keeps pushing.
So animals aren't better than plants, just different paths.
Precisely. They're not superior, not a negation. They're complementary differentiations from the same original impulse, like two big branches growing out from the same tree trunk, side by side, not one on top of the other. And he'd say animals still retain plant-like characteristics, and plants have subtle animal traits. They're connected.
And this branching just continues.
On and on. Within animals, you get more splits. Some groups lean towards conserving energy, like mollusks, others towards actively consuming it, like vertebrates, and eventually the human-animal split. Faced with, say, material obstacles, some vertebrates develop complex instinct. Maybe the impulse stops there in a sense. But another branch, stemming from the same impulse, humans, chooses a different path to break through those material limits by using external materials, developing consciousness and intelligence.
So again, not humans overcoming animals, but a different choice, a different branch.
Exactly. Humans are a differentiation, not a negation. We still carry our animality, he'd argue, and animals might retain faint traces of something like consciousness.
Wow. So the impact of seeing evolution as differentiation is huge.
It completely shatters that simple linear view. It emphasizes life as fundamentally multiform. Countless differentiations create this incredible diversity, complexity, even what we might see as marginal life forms are part of this creative explosion.
So every split is a kind of creation.
Yes. Each differentiation adds new forms, spreading out like a vast, intricate net or like, steam dispersing. It affirms diversity, complexity, even the side branches and dead ends in a way. And crucially, this whole process is unpredictable. There's no fixed causality, no predetermined end goal. It's just this impulse creatively differentiating as it encounters the world.
Okay, that's a radically different picture of evolution. But Bergson's known for more than just that, isn't he? This concept of duration.
Ah, yes, duration, la durée. This is arguably one of his most profound and maybe challenging contributions. It could really shift how you perceive time itself.
So what is duration, according to Bergson?
Well, first, duration means no interruption. It's continuous flow, eternal transition. We might perceive moments of stillness, but for Bergson, that's an illusion created by our intellect chopping things up.
So everything is always flowing, always in motion.
Always. Even if the changes are tiny, imperceptible, it's a constant flux, a bit like Heraclitus's eternal becoming. No breaks, no static points.
Okay, continuous flow. What else?
Second, it's not just continuous, it's continuously changing. Every single moment of duration is unique, utterly new. No two moments are ever identical. He said something like, in every moment, all feelings, all thoughts, all wills are changing. If a mental state stops changing, its duration no longer flows. So it's constant novelty, not just monotonous continuity.
Continuous change. Got it. And the third point, you said it was crucial.
Yes, this is the real mind bender. Duration means that any given moment contains its entire past.
Contains the past. How? Like memory.
More than just memory as recollection. It's not that the present overcomes the past or leaves it behind. For Bergson, the present moment literally absorbs and includes all of its preceding moments. As duration flows, the past sort of accumulates, it floods into the present. This causes the present moment to expand or inflate with the weight of everything that came before.
So the past isn't gone.
It's not gone. It's always latent within the present. Past and present coexist. They merge in this grand convergence, as the source calls it.
Okay, that's hard to grasp. Is there an analogy?
Yes. Think about your own body. Your body today is obviously different from your body yesterday or when you were a child.
Right.
But does today's body negate or discard yesterday's body? No. Bergson would say your body today absorbs, coexists with all your past bodies right back to the embryo. Your present physical self contains that entire history. Your present conscious self contains your entire life experience, all your past thoughts and feelings, influencing you now.
So it's not like the usual idea of I am who I am now because I'm different from my past self. I've overcome the old me.
Exactly the opposite in a way. Bergson says the present contains and accumulates the old self. It's a superposition, a coexistence. But importantly, the present, while containing the past, is also always an addition to it. It's a continuous enrichment. Duration moves forward, absorbing the past, but always adding something new.
And this flows into the future, too.
Yes, the present, packed with its past, flows into and gets absorbed by the future. Every future moment becomes a culmination of everything that is unfolded.
Okay, wow. So this idea of duration, what's the relevance for us listening? How does it connect to everyday life?
Well, think about memory, for instance.
Yeah.
Involuntary memory. Because the present always contains the past completely, it makes sense that sometimes a present sensation can just unlock a past moment, right?
Ah, like Proust, the Madeleine cake.
Exactly like Proust's Madeleine. That taste doesn't just remind him of his childhood. In a Bergsonian sense, it brings that past, which was always there, always latent within his duration, flooding back into his present consciousness. It was never truly gone, just waiting.
That makes sense. The past isn't just a stored file, it's part of the ongoing flow.
Right. And think about action, too. Your present desires, your choices, your creative acts, they don't come from nowhere. They arise from and carry the weight of your entire accumulated past, your whole duration.
So creativity isn't pulling something out of a void, but an unfolding of what's already accumulated within you.
That's a good way to put it. It's an unfolding, an expression of that continuously enriched duration. And just as a final thought, it's fascinating to contrast this with, say, Sartre, another giant of French thought.
How do they differ on this?
Well, for Bergson, as we've seen, the present is full. It's packed, inflated with the entire past. For Sartre, Famously, the present is fundamentally nothingness, emptiness.
Emptiness.
Yeah, Sartre argued we have to shed our past, that our existence starts from this void, this nothingness. That's where freedom lies in breaking completely from the past and choosing ourselves anew in that empty present.
Wow, they couldn't be more different on that point. The present as full accumulation versus the present as empty freedom.
Totally opposed. And you can kind of see why, when Sartre's ideas took hold so powerfully, Bergson's notion of duration might have seemed, well, less relevant for a time.
It explains that temporary eclipse. So, reflecting on all this, what stands out to you from our dive into Bergson? How might thinking about your own life, not as just moments passing, but as this continuous duration where every moment is unique, yes, but also carries all your past within it, how might that change how you view your experiences, your decisions, even your future? Maybe, just maybe, you're not simply moving through time, but you're actually accumulating it, always becoming more, always carrying the richness, the weight, the potential of everything you've ever been. Something to think about.